that down all at the same time. Can everybody hear me or see me? That's not where I wanted to go. There we go. Trying to multitask. Don't know how well this is all going to work out, but we're going to try it and see what happens. I am live both on TikTok as well as on YouTube, from what I can tell. At least that's the intent. That's the goal. Let's see how this all works out and if it's able to be done and trying it through. So a couple different things that I've been talking about over the last couple of weeks is whether or not there are affordable housing out there and some of the things that are out there that a lot of people don't know. And it's important that, people are able to see what's going on out there in the world and get the right information because there is so much bad information out there. It's ridiculous. We're going to record on this computer as well as attempt to fix this back up all at the same time. Because I'm not sure if it's all going out like it's supposed to. We're going to find out, right? This is how we learn sometimes. So $100 down HUD homes are back for those of you who don't know. It is a program that was around after the housing crisis happened. And for, I'd say about 2 years at this point, people were talking about $100 down HUD homes and they weren't available. And I don't believe in talking about programs that are not currently available because there's a ton of them. There's a ton of them that run out of money. There are a ton that have severe restrictions that could be causing you an issue. There's all sorts of things. And to me, it doesn't make any sense for me to talk about a program that you can't get your hands on. It's important that, we give you proper and correct information wherever possible. There are some things that we don't know until we know, but wherever possible, we need to give you the correct information. So $100 down HUD homes, what they are is they're a lot at this point in time. They're homes that were reverse mortgages that the owner passed away and they had no heirs. And that's pretty much what most of them are because there's not enough foreclosures in order for them to be owned by HUD and things of that nature. So one of the things that you can go to is the HUDhomestore.gov, which is this up here. I don't know if any of you guys can see that up there, but it's HUDhomestore.gov. And when you scroll down, you can see what states there are some. So Vermont currently has none. New Hampshire currently have none. Oh, I wonder why I'm echoing. Thanks for letting me know. Let's see if... wonder if I pause this. Can you still hear me if I do that? Trying to figure out if you can hear me at this point in time. Ah, okay. So thanks for letting me know. Again, I'm on live in Zoom, feeding to YouTube as well as on live on my computer for TikTok. So thanks for letting me know that. I just had to mute the live on my computer screen. Yeah, it's because I got a lot of things going on at the same time. All sorts of fun. So Utah, Vermont, New Hampshire currently don't have any $100 down HUD homes. And Carlos, this was the map I was talking about going on this website. So Pennsylvania, New Jersey has 5, Pennsylvania has 36, Virginia has 11. Not North Carolina. We've got Delaware has 2, Maryland has 16, and Florida has 40 properties, which are we surprised that Florida has the most? So let's go take a look at Florida. What do we got for $100 down HUD homes? I want to look at which ones are the newest. The case number. This one has a price reduced. This is $252 in Ocala. 3 bedrooms, 2 bath. Now, these $100 down HUD homes are generally 203K eligible. Some of them are dumpster fires, some of them are not. This one specifically, I've seen this one before. It could use some updating, but nothing hateful. And it's a newer type of build with stucco and things of that nature. And that one has a $293 HOA fee, which isn't hateful for HOA fees. That one's a new listing. This one is available tomorrow. I think you've seen this one. $395. This one is fairly well updated. 203K eligible, period deadline, opportunity zone. $384 in Gilchrist community. 320, 315, 314 in Winter Haven. 308 in Ocala. So again, guys, these are $100 down HUD homes that you can find. This is a new listing, Eagle Lake. Where are you, Eagle Lake? And has very little pictures. Polk County. I know what that is. As is without any warranty, which is pretty much every home. As is does not mean you cannot get a home inspection. As is means that the seller doesn't want to do anything. Escrow, approval over 48 hours. HUD has no extensions. What are my property taxes on this house? 44 and change. So we're talking about, for those of you just joining, we're talking about $100 down HUD homes. We're talking about down payment assistance programs. We're talking about how to verify your loan officer. We're talking about solutions for different issues you might be having with your current lender as far as what programs are available to you. So these are all things that we need to take a look at and figure out what's going to work best for you in your individual situation. Is everything easy, perfect? Are interest rates going to drop at some point? Is interest rates your problem? No. For those of you who think an interest rate is your problem, you're not paying attention. Pasco County. Townhome in Clay. Price reduced in Ocala. That's a mobile home. So I want to see, you know what I want to see? I've been finding some good neighbor next door homes. I want to see if there's any of those available. So if you come down here, good neighbor next door programs, Michigan currently has 2 properties for the good neighbor next door. That means that you have 50% off of this list price on these properties in Michigan. Currently, Maryland has 2 properties. They only had 1. Now, these homes are not necessarily in the best condition, but they are eligible for renovation. Is that the back door to the kitchen? Yeah, that's the back door for the kitchen. So this property would be 50% off if you qualify for good neighbor next door. This property is in a revitalization area. This is a 203K eligible property. Let's see what things that they know are wrong with this house. Now it's 50% off the purchase price. Peeling paint, replace basement door with metal door, plumbing repair, add lids to sump pump, fill gaps at front exterior wall, electrical repair. May have ground rent. Okay. Nothing hateful. But for anybody who is a teacher, anybody who is a firefighter, a police officer, or works in EMS, you get 50% off this home. And it's eligible for renovations. This is a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house. Where's my property taxes? Property taxes are incredibly low on this home. We've got 9 pictures. Whoever took these pictures did a horrible job. They took them with their cell phone. A standard row home with a ramp in the back, which I would rip this out and put standard steps in. But this home, if you are a police officer, if you are a teacher, if you are an EMS, if you are a firefighter, this home is 50% off and eligible for renovations. These are things that if you're having a hard time figuring out a home, please with the HUD Home Store, submit offers. Now, if you are not eligible for the 50% off for Good Neighbor Next Door, this would likely qualify for the $100 down program. So $100 down for a 3-bedroom, 1-bath in Baltimore City County, Baltimore, Maryland. And this home can get full renovations. You're talking about 50% off if you qualify for Good Neighbor Next Door. You're talking about $100 down. If not, this house is currently available in Maryland. Now, there's a second home in Maryland that is also, if you qualify for Good Neighbor Next Door, you're looking at 50% off. Has railings. So I'm going to go. You can get 50% off the purchase price, revitalization area, opportunity zone, 203K eligible. So this works for 50% off if you qualify for Good Neighbor Next Door. Repair furnace, remove non-functioning oil tank, install new rubber roof, replace main water line, plumbing repair. Property may be subject to ground rent. Okay, so the roof is questionable. But again, we're talking about 50% off, possibility of only $100 down on this property if you don't qualify for the 50% off for the Good Neighbor Next Door. And if you notice, I do not utilize Zillow. Redfin and Realtor.com are my 2 go-tos. This has 12 pictures. Okay, so you can do a full renovation on this property with $100 down or 50% off the list price. I would definitely redo that kitchen. Oh, thank you so much for the likes. But 50% off if you qualify for Good Neighbor Next Door, $100 down if you don't. Renovation is already approved on the property, and your property taxes are only $320 a month. So let's take a look. So 40, we'll call it $20,000. I want to see what other houses in this area go for. There's a lot of houses in this area that need similar homes. I want to see what's sold. Oh, good, we're getting rain. Property history, show more. I want to see what homes in this area have sold for. Is there a Redfin? Redfin. So the reason why I want to see what the homes in this area sold for is because even though this is currently the starting bid is at 40,000, and this is different than when you're going to a basic bid. This is for $100 down or good neighbor next door, and you can do renovation on this property. This program is nationwide. So Good Neighbor Next Door is a program for certain homes that they put up for that specific purpose. Right now, there's 2 in Baltimore, and there's, I believe, 1 or 2 in Michigan, and it changes weekly. So you have to check this website on a consistent basis, and you have to be ready to jump on any of these, which means you should be speaking to a loan officer that understands the Good Neighbor Next Door program and the $100 down program and 2OK3 renovations. Anything that's on, majority of the things that are on the HUDhomestore.gov website are eligible for the 203K, which is a renovation loan. The trick is you have to see what the property will be worth after renovation for homes in that area. So here's nearby comparable homes. So this one's going for 250. I want to see what sold recently. And again, I don't use Zillow. I refuse to use Zillow. They're the worst and they track you way too much. So this one sold for 2250, 437. And I'm guessing all of these needed renovations. Let's see. Here's one. No pictures. I love when they give me no pictures. So here's more within a mile, 160, 199. Stop being silly, Redfin. They're getting mad because they can't track me because I'm on a VPN. 80, 33, 185. So let's say this house can easy go for that's not the one I want to look for. Ideas. Let's say this house can go for once it's fully renovated, let's say it can go for $80,000 more, right? So here you have this house that if you qualify for Good Neighbor Next Door, it's 50% off the purchase price. So in this case, if you're looking at a $40,000 house and it goes for 40,000, you're going to be able to buy it for 20,000. Let's say you throw $100,000 worth of repairs on it. Let's see what this looks like when it's financed. Because that's what you want to look at is what the monthly payment's going to wind up being. So if we're talking about 20,000, we're going to add 100,000. So I'm going to say it's 110,000 because you want to do some nice things to your house and get new appliances and update all sorts of other happy things, right? So if we're doing $100 down because we can. Property taxes, I'm still going to say the homeowner's insurance is going to be 150. Let's say the property taxes. What did I say they were like $500? I'm going too far down because I'm on Redfin and I haven't been on Redfin in a minute. home details. I need the house's history, climate risk. Oh, are they not showing property taxes anymore? You can go away now. Give me back my realtor.com. Yeah, I'm talking about 320. So we're going to call the property taxes 500. 42. $42 a month, no HOA. Save changes. And we're figuring this out as if you have a 650 FICO score. We're doing the $100 down because everybody qualifies for the $100 down. Good neighbor next door, it's going to be a little bit different because you're going to get 50% off the purchase price plus the renovation. We're going first time home buyer. Price this out. Not every lender has access to the $100 down programs, and you can see where they are here. So here's AFR. We hate them. We're not using them. $100 down, new res. They're viable. $100 down. We can either look at reducing your interest rate and paying to reduce that interest rate, in which case your best interest rate is going to be a 6.25%. It's going to cost you $2,200, not that big of a deal. I'd probably have you go 6.75, unless we need lender credit. I'd still tell you to go 6.75. We apply that, apply. And your monthly payment is $1,108. Your monthly payment on this house with full renovations is $1,108. How many people have a 3-bedroom apartment or a house for $1,108,000 that's fully renovated? Or sorry, $1,108 per month, including taxes and homeowners insurance. No HOA fee on this property at all whatsoever. So this home you can purchase with renovation, $100 down, or 50% off, whichever one you would prefer or qualify for. So if you are a teacher, if you are a police officer, if you are a fighter, if you are an EMT, paramedic, on an ambulance, with an ambulance corps, any of those things, you can get this house for 50% off. If you are none of those things, you can get this house for $100 down and then add the renovations on top of it. Now, when you're looking at these properties at the HUD Home Store, this property right now only has 12 hours and 44 minutes remaining for somebody to bid. You do have to bid for these properties. Not only do you have to bid for these properties, but if you're thinking about doing one of these programs, you should make sure that you have a pre-qualification in place. You should make sure that you have a loan officer that has access to the $100 down and understands how to utilize the Good Neighbor Next Door program. It's important that you have the right loan officer for you and your situation. Mo Williams, where are you at? What part of the country are you in? And then again, this one's 175. The property taxes on this were about the same. And to get into a 3-bedroom house and pay less than $1,200 a month with full renovations, how can you beat that? So this is the website, hudhomestore.gov. This was the Good Neighbor Next Door. And like you can see, Michigan has 2 properties. Maryland has 2 properties. This changes often. We just had one property in Pennsylvania. Oh, Texas, are you okay with the fires and everything else that's going on there? I have some friends and some coworkers in Texas. It's insane what's going on over there. But the Good Neighbor Next Door, this changes constantly. I'm on here. So every Wednesday I'm on here for answering questions and going through some things that I think a lot of people just don't understand that are going on when it comes to mortgages. And I go through and I pull this up because I want people, oh, thank you so much for the follow. I want people to see the different ways that they can go find affordable homes and how they can make it work. Because if you want it, there are ways to get there. If you speak to a loan officer and the loan officer just says, no, we can't approve you and moves on, that's not a good loan officer. Go find your tribe, find your people. There is a difference between somebody like me who is state licensed and has access to over 220 lenders. I think somebody said we're over 240 now, constantly adding more versus, good, I'm glad you're not in that part, versus a loan officer who is a registered loan officer and can only work with the bank that they're at and doesn't know guidelines. VA loans, 100% financing. Most people that can facilitate a VA loan have never read the guidelines, do not know that 4% seller concession does not limit the seller credit, in which we can pay off everything and you can bring no money to closing and pay off some of your debt while we're at it. Can you get pre-qualified for a loan with 500 credit score? So no, the $100 down program, they're going to want you to be over the 580. They're definitely going to want you to be over the 580. With the Good Neighbor Next Door program, you know what? I've never looked that low on it. Let's find out. And if you speak to a lot of lenders, really, if you speak to a lot of lenders and they tell you, and you tell them that you have a 500 FICO score, they're going to look at you and just like, yeah, you can't do anything until you have a 620. That's not true. Law enforcement officers, teachers, pre-kindergarten through 12th. And this is important, pre-kindergarten through 12th means that if you're a daycare worker, preschool through 12th grade, firefighters, emergency, medical techs, all of that stuff, you can qualify for that program. Eligible single-family homes located in revitalization areas, how to participate, listens in your state. You must meet the requirements for law enforcement. Let's see if it gives me the rest of, and you only have to stay in it for it only has to be your primary for 3 years. Employed full-time, a state, a unit, general local government, or in Indian tribal. Carrying out such full-time employment, person sworn to uphold, full employee paragraph, whatever. Teachers, full-time state accredited public school or private school that provides direct services to students rated pre-K through 12. Full-time employment. You're not telling me FICO score. But FHA goes down to a 500 FICO score. USDA loans, however, have no minimum FICO score. VA loans have no minimum FICO score. FICO. You know what's interesting is this program is not saying anywhere what FICO score you have to have. So I could be wrong. 3-year occupancy. Yeah, discount of 50% from the list price of the home. Guys, 50% of the list price of the home. And you get to do renovation. So it's not 50% of the renovation cost. It's 50% of the list price of the home. Oh, thank you so much for the follow and the likes. Feel free to share this to other people. And just so you know, I'm live on YouTube. I'm also live on TikTok. I'm on here both as my primary account, which is what's live right now, and also my sub account, which I'll put a wave in here. I was talking about my daughter being bullied and somehow got myself banned, which is funny to me. So I set up a second account. But this is not showing me any minimum FICO score that's required. So I'll do a little bit more digging on that and I'll do a video on it. But FHA generally requires that you have at least a 500 FICO score. With the 500 FICO score, you normally have to put down 10%. I don't know if there's a caveat for this specific program. There might be, but I would imagine they want you to be at least a 580 or above, because 580 is where you get to the 3.5% down. So yeah, Maryland, those are the two properties for 50% off. And then let's see, anything come up for dollar homes? No. There's been a realtor who's been talking for 2 years about the dollar down HUD homes. There's none of those. There are the $100 down HUD homes, but not the dollar down. So let's see, what other states? Is anybody else in here from another state? I'm not licensed in Texas, but Texas does have 49 properties that are on this website. Let's go Pennsylvania. Let's see what we got here. This is a new listing out in York, PA for $360,000. How is this? Okay, can somebody explain to me how a house this size only has 2 bedrooms? I mean, I understand how, but why would you do that? I guarantee you there's some place that you can squeeze in another bedroom. Guaranteed. Because nobody needs that much living space for only 2 bedrooms. You're not having that many people over. I mean, I'm a single mom with 1 child, and I have lots of other single parents over, and we do dinner nights, and we do, snow days and things of that nature because I have more flexibility. And that's too, I don't want to clean all that. I don't want to clean all that. Dampness in basement and mold-like substance will need to be removed. Okay, so you got to bleach it. You get remediation in there. So 2 bedrooms, 2 bath. I mean, it needs new floors. Could use some updating. Never understood the gold around the shower. I'm not a gold person. Finished basement. That could be turned into like 3 different bedrooms right there. Funny story, when I was in high school, I had an ecology teacher and we had to design a house. And I actually designed a house to where the bedrooms weren't in the basement, because when you're sleeping, you need to be a colder temperature. And it always made more sense to me that the bedrooms be in the basement to where it's colder temperatures, it's darker, all of that stuff, because you're not hanging out in your bedroom for the most part. So I love when I have people who are just like, I've got 5 kids, I need 6 bedrooms. No, you don't. You need 3, maybe 4. And I always refer back to the Jackson 5, having 7 people in a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, or the Irish in Philadelphia, and how not only did we have lots and lots of children, but we had lots and lots of children and brought in other Irish people with lots and lots of children in our homes. And if you look at the older homes in Philadelphia, there are 2, maybe 3 bedrooms, and we had all those people in there. And quite frankly, I think kids who have to share a bedroom tend to be better humans because they're better at compromise, because you have to be. Now, the parents and headaches or what have you, I get that. So this one is in Bucks County. This one is a 3-bedroom, 1 bath rancher. And roof from the pictures looks like it's in okay condition. It's $255,000. Drop ceiling would go, and this would have to go for me personally. But for $100 down and the ability to fully renovate, decent sized yard, opportunity zone. Let's see what it says is the problem. And that's the other thing too. Furnace needs to be replaced. So is this pretty? No. I mean, somebody might like the retro style. Is it affordable at $255,000? Yes. Would I still want to do the renovations? Yes. Is Bucks County a highly sought after area? Absolutely. And let's go here. Let's see what your property taxes are. Utilities are off, so please use caution. Responsible for UNO. This listing is not saying that's $100 down, but usually they are if they're in there. Property taxes on this are $38.81, haven't changed in a while. So that hasn't changed in a while. Those are probably going to go up, and they're showing since 2022. So if we're looking at this house, we're going to call it let's call it 4,500 in property taxes just to round it up. So it's $375 per month. Again, we're going to leave the homeowner's insurance the same. This property, they're selling it for $255, $100 down. Let's see. Kitchen needs to be redone. Do we see any issues in the bathroom? Does anybody knows any issues in the bathroom? Big size yard. That needs to be fixed. So let's say we want to do about $75,000 worth of renovations. It's going to be CP Mortgage Team. Everything is basically CP Mortgage Team. Thank you for asking. I appreciate that. This wallpaper. Wow, look at. So this is a can opener. I think one of these is a toaster. I don't know what the other one is. That's a very old stove. Radio. Oh, one of these might be a TV. I forgot they used to do that. Show my age, dude. I'm showing my age. I would make those windows bigger. Hello, any first-time home buyers, down payment assistance programs in New Jersey, Connecticut? There's first-time home buyer programs everywhere. It's just a question of what you're looking for. So the first-time home buyer automatically gives you a loan-level pricing adjustment, which means it adjusts the price of your interest rate. Down payment assistance programs do not require you to be a first-time home buyer. These $100 down HUD homes do not require you to be a first-time home buyer. It does have to be your primary residence, though. You got to be careful when you're looking at down payment assistance programs. And I am licensed in New Jersey. I am not licensed in Connecticut. New Jersey does have some areas that are USDA eligible. USDA is 100% financing. Again, you don't have to be a first-time home buyer, but it does have to be for your primary residence. If you're doing a down payment assistance program that's less than 5%, it's kind of pointless. And always ask your loan officer to run numbers with and without the down payment assistance. And here's why. So if I take this, well, let me do this first. So we're looking at 255. Let's say we do the loan for 350. And we're still going to use $100 down. So that makes this house basically $2,900 a month with full renovations on it and everything else of that nature. So just to give you an idea of what happens with your down payment assistance, I'm going to change this to 96.5. Save changes and continue. And you also need to find out from your loan officer when you're doing a down payment assistance program, how long until you can refinance. Switch this. We're going to put this here. Because usually there's anywhere between a 3 to 15 year time frame where you cannot refinance that loan or you have to pay it back, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you deserve to know that. So we're looking at, that's going to cost you $900. We hate 8FR. Penny Mac. Not hateful. Here's your repair escrow. In here, it's a little bit of a higher interest rate. There are some down payment assistance programs. Here's your $100 down where you're looking. Some down payment assistance programs that do not, like I said, do not require you to be a first-time home buyer. Every first-time home buyer program or down payment assistance does have special stipulations. They want a higher FICO score. They want a lower debt to income ratio. They're going to add fees because now you have two underwritings, and now the lender isn't paying for your loan officer anymore. So they're adding costs to you. Any down payment assistance program that's less than 5% isn't going to be worth your time. And anytime you're looking at a down payment assistance program, you should really be asking if your agent is willing to negotiate for seller concessions. So see this one, we're at a 7.75% interest rate compared to all those other interest rates. It's going to cost you $14,000. to get that down payment assistance program. Does that make sense to you? And that's kind of what winds up happening, is it winds up costing you. And then see how this is all in orange? They want you to be under a 45%. They want you to be under a 48.99% debt to income ratio in order to do this. So it's going to lower your buying power for both of those things. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with down payment assistance programs, but you need to know what the pros and the cons are. And that's just, and granted, that's just one lender, one program, what have you, but you need to know. Here's another $100 down. We wouldn't use that one because I have better ones up there. Here's a DPA Flex. You're looking at an 8.25. It's going to cost you $13,000 to utilize this program for the 3.5% down payment. That's insane to me. Whereas if you brought 3.5%, so in this case, we're talking about a loan amount of $350. So you're bringing $12,250 cash to close. If your agent is good at negotiating, they can get you up to 6% seller concessions. Well, that's going to cover the majority of your closing costs. So 350, 123, times 0.06. That's $21,000. So all you'd have to do is bring your down payment. And actually probably wind up with being able to get a rate reduction, a temporary rate reduction. It's all in how the math gets put together. Now, one of my other favorite programs. We're going to go here. Helpful. Yes, I have lots of things. Where am I? USDA loans. USDA loans are no minimum FICO score. However, majority of the lenders are going to want you to have at least a 550. Like 99.9% are going to want you to have a 580 or more, but you can go down as low as 550. If you go directly to USDA, if you are extremely low income, I would suggest going to the USDA 502 Direct, because they will subsidize your mortgage payment for you to help you get into the house for up to, I believe it's 10 years. USDA is available in more areas than people think. So New Jersey, for instance, everybody just like there's no place in New Jersey. So as you're looking at this, right, as I'm scrolling through all these different areas, that darker color, not eligible. That lighter color, eligible. And I went too far. Boston, that's where I'm headed to eventually. So here's New Jersey. Northern New Jersey is a little bit more difficult than Southern New Jersey, obviously, for obvious reasons. The big trick is it can't be someplace that's heavily populated. And I got to tell you, taking this map and just zooming in is the best advice I can give you. And the reason being is, look at this little itty bitty spot right here. Can you see that? This little itty bitty teeny tiny spot. I can't tell you who made this map, but whoever made this map, and you can put it in the address to see if it matches. But if you're looking in a very specific area, I just suggest like zooming to see what fits. Like this right here. See this? What the heck is that? All these little whatever. So USDA loans, 100% financing. They have a lower interest rate than a conventional, and often even than an FHA. They are lower PMI. There is still a PMI, but it's a yearly PMI. So let's take this same loan. Hi, we're going to make you 100% financing. Same loan. We're going to switch you to USDA. We are going to save changes. USDA does require that you have a lower debt to income ratio, but it's not hateful. Let's go to pricing. Price the loan. Look how low this interest rate is. 100% financing. 100% financing. Look at the monthly payment. So PRMG, we hate AFR. PRMG, we're going to select, you want that one? I can get you about another $923 in lender credit, which can go towards your closing costs. So if you don't have a lot of cash to close, we can do that. If the house appraises for more than the contract price, we can roll in some of the closing costs on a USDA loan. Not everybody has access to this program. Not everybody knows how to use it effectively. And that makes a huge difference. But yeah, all these different areas are USDA eligible, and they're not. Everybody thinks you have to basically be on a farmland. You don't. USDA is one of the most underutilized loans out there. I can tell you, as you get into August, September, it starts to go a little bit slower, strictly because October is their end of fiscal year, and they tend to run out of money temporarily until they get refunded. USDA loans are a fantastic option for anybody trying to buy a home. USDA 502 Direct, I've sent some clients to it because I can't do that loan. But just because I can't do that loan doesn't mean I'm not going to find out about it, and doesn't mean I'm not going to recommend it. So what kind of loans are out there? Let's see if I can pull this up real quick. Self-employed people, they have a hard time finding loans because loan officers don't know how to properly calculate their income. Why does that matter? Because debt to income ratio is the #1 factor on all of it. And then there's something else I'm going to pull up because somebody was asking about the difference between a direct lender versus going with a brokerage versus these online lenders and yada, 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 yada. And there is a huge difference. We're going to get this one. Come on, spark it up. Okay, so here are some of the programs. This isn't even all of it. This doesn't even cover all the different types of programs that are out there. If you are self-employed, if you are an investor, if you need renovation, if you need fix and flip, if you have no income coming in, there are no DTI loans, not available in all states. No DTI loans cannot be used in Pennsylvania or Maryland for my 6 states. There are some states that have rules on the books that you can't use them. You have to have a higher FICO score. You have to have lots of cash. It is 100% and 20% down program or more. It does require you to have 12 to 24 months worth of reserves. There are stated income loans. There are P&L loans. There are all sorts of different loans that are available. Oh, this isn't showing up where I need it to show up. Ay, Dios, I'm talking about these things and you can't see them. My bad. Open with Google Chrome. So here are the different types of loans that are available. And this is just some of them. You have some condos that are non-warrantable. You have, which gets to be a bit of a pain in the wazoo. And make these bigger for everybody to be able to see. Reverse mortgages. I don't do reverse mortgages. I am not a fan of those by any stretch of the imagination. They're just not my cup of tea. Move this over a little bit to make this a little bit easier to see. Bridge loans. So if you currently own a property and you want to buy another property, you can use a bridge loan to sell before you buy, and you can have up to 12 months without having to make any payments. Oh, thank you so much. I try. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. They're called buy before you sell loans. They're also bridge loans. Bridge loans can also be used for fix and flips. And fix and flip doesn't mean you necessarily fix the property and then flip it as a sale. It could mean that you're flipping it into a more long-term loan, because bridge loans are generally 3, maybe 24 months at max. So you have to keep that in mind. You need to know your time frame based upon what you're using it for. Investor loans, anything from commercial to if you've got a congregation that needs a church, we have lenders for that. DSCR loans for those of you who are looking for an investment property. I don't care if you have a job. I care that you have cash to close. I care that the property is going to cash flow. And I care that you have a high enough FICO score. And DSCR loans, there are some that's what's called no ratio, to where actually I don't care if it cash flows. Those are going to be a higher interest rate and a higher FICO score required. Majority of the DSCR loans want you to have 1-to-1 ratio, which means that the area median rents or active rents are going to cover the new mortgage payment, including taxes and homeowners insurance and any HOI. They are set up for long term, but I have had people who have used them for Airbnbs, which I think that that's a safer way. We do have AirDNA loans, but with all the shutdowns of cities and towns for Airbnbs, I'm not a fan of doing that, because I think it leaves you stuck if the town that you invest in shuts down Airbnbs. Asset depletion. We see this a lot with people who are either self-employed or who are retired, but have an obscene amount of stocks, bonds, mutual funds, cash in the bank, or what have you. That's another way that we can do. Again, fix and flip. Spec loans are also kind of known as one-time closes and building on your own land. Key loan is a second loan on an existing property that you own. We can do those on primaries and we can do those on investment properties. I actually also have a DSCR key loan. Non-warrantable condos. Those get a little tricky. Those get very, very tricky. I have a client right now down in Florida, and every HOA is connected to a condo, even if it's not a condo, even if it's a townhouse or what have you. But non-warrantable condos, depending upon the situation, we can still put mortgages on those properties, even if the condo association hasn't made themselves warrantable. Condo, commercial, and commercial can mean anywhere from, I've done storage units, I've done, excuse me, assisted living facilities, I've done laundromats, things of that nature. So commercial loans can mean anything commercial. I've done, so DSCR loans can go all the way up to 28 units if need be. Most are only 4. Commercials also where you get into the 5+ residential units. HELOC and 5-day HELOC, again, on your primary residence. Foreign national. So if you have an ITIN, we can do those. Vineyards. Yes, we can do mortgages for vineyards. We can also do them for hobby farms, regular farms, just land, all sorts of things. Again, reverse mortgages, I choose not to do. I also personally choose not to do mobile home loans. Growing up in Florida, I don't understand how anybody can still build mobile homes in Florida, and especially in a retirement community. Why are we trying to kill the old people? ITIN and DACA. So those are people who are not full citizens, but they are here full time. One-time closed construction. I personally will only do that on a printed home. There's just been too much on stick-built homes. I can't. Farm, ranch, big farm, little farm, all of that. We have lenders for those. Renovation loans. Now, there's a couple different types of renovation loans. Everybody knows, or a lot of people know about the 203K. I need anybody who's in a area that has lots of natural disasters. Mo Williams, you're in Texas. Anybody that you know in northern Texas, they should know about this loan. Anybody in Florida, anybody where there's flooding, tornadoes, hurricanes, fires, major snowfalls, things of that nature, where there can be a presidentially declared disaster. A presidentially declared disaster. There is a loan specifically for that situation. There is a loan to help you if you are in a presidentially declared natural disaster, or a presidentially declared disaster. I don't know if that has to be natural. Presidentially declared disaster. This loan is for purchase or refi, and it's 100% financing. If you're unhoused during a presidentially declared disaster, there is a loan to help you purchase a home. I don't want that one there. I want that one there. I'm trying to pull up the document that I have just to make things easier to go through this, but this is very important. I try to send this out anytime I see an area that's been hit for any one of my 6 states, because it's painful that people don't know this loan exists. A 203H, H think hurricane, 100% financing with renovation on an existing home or on a new purchase as a primary residence. So it's only for primary residents. Existing credit score and overlays apply. So you have to have at least a 500 FICO score on this. You're going to have to put down a little bit more money if you're under a 580 FICO score. But again, this is 100% financing if your home, your existing home, is damaged or if you're unhoused due to a presidentially declared disaster. You need to know that this loan exists. And you have up until a year. You have only 1 year. Only 1 year in order to utilize this. I had a client who unfortunately contacted me a year and 5 days after Ian. I tried to use Idalia. I've never run into that situation before. I tried to use Idalia, but because she was unhoused because of Ian, I couldn't use Idalia to get her into the new house. They will forgive quite a few different things in order to get you into a new house. And this includes renovation. So the 203H, 100% financing, rehabilitation loan, must document previous residence was in the disaster area and destroyed or damaged to such an extent that reconstruction or replacement is necessary. 100% financing. But people don't know that this existed. The borrower's existing residence, owned or rented. Now, here's the other kicker. Let's say you're in Texas and this fire is happening and your home is destroyed, your apartment building, your house, what have you, and you decide, I want to go move to Idaho. You can use this loan in Idaho as long as you get documentation that your housing situation was affected by what's going presidentially declared disaster. You don't have to stay in the same area. This does not require you to stay in the same area. Know that. There are some additional loan programs if you live in certain areas currently that you can get additional monies, whether you move to that area, stay in that area to buy or not. That's for another one. Okay, let's see. But there's also home style renovation for conventional loans, which can also be used on investment properties. There are cross collateralization. So if you already own another property and we need to use that to buffer up, we can do that. Bank statements. We have hard money lenders. We have private money lenders. We have profit and loss loans. If you are somebody who is self-employed and you were erroneously told that you cannot qualify for a mortgage, you need to reach out to me. You really do, because there's so many different ways in order to get this done. Okay, guys, it's 101. I kind of want to see where we're at. Does anybody have any questions about any of these things at this point in time? Hop back over to my YouTube. Any questions at all whatsoever? Oh, loan officers. Please verify your loan officer on this website. It is so important you verify your loan officer. It's nmlsconsumeraccess.org. nmlsconsumeraccess.org. The only thing that you need in order to verify your loan officer is our name. That's all you need. There's nothing else that you need. So for me, want to know about me? That's my full name. You have to do the stupid little, are you a real life person? C65. There's me. This is my license number. If you are listening to anybody on an app, if you're watching any webinar, if you are on any social media, anywhere that any loan officer is talking about a loan, that number needs to be easily accessible and visible. If they don't know to have that number in their bio, they don't know guidelines. They don't know rules. They don't know regulations. Thank you so much for the likes. If you are a licensed loan officer and you do not have this number, your NMLS number plastered all over everything, you are out of compliance. You are in risk of being fined by the CFPB. It is a big bad. The reason for this number is so that you, as a consumer, can find out who we are. A lot of people don't know that this website exists. They don't know that they can just use our names, but our NMLS number is required because you need to be able to verify that we are, in fact, somebody who should be able to have access to your information. We passed all the things. We passed the background check. We passed the finance check. We passed our tests. Well, some of us passed the test. We'll get into that in just a second. But our NMLS ID, number one, lets you know how long for an idea that we've been a loan officer. My number starts with 167. I see so many loan officers whose number starts with a 2, starting to see 3, and they're running off with the math about things that they don't know. You can't know this job until you've been in it for at least 18 months. There's too much reading for anybody to do, and most of us don't even do that reading. I hate to say it. I'm sorry, other loan officers. It's just a fact. Loan officers, quite frankly, by our license, are not allowed to pre-approve a loan. If somebody tells you that you have a pre-approval and it's 1 page, it's not a pre-approval. Pre-approvals are 2 pages, and pre-approvals have to go to an underwriter. Loan officers cannot do the pre-approval. Your AUS, automatic underwriting system, is not a pre-approval. AUS says that it's just a pre-qualification. And if I fat finger something or I don't know how to quantify your income correctly, or I play around with the numbers enough, I can get AUS to say pretty much anything. AUS is not a pre-approval. Let me say that again. AUS is not a pre-approval. So if your loan officer hasn't collected all the documents, hasn't sent it over to underwriting, you are not pre-approved, you are pre-qualified. Okay, let me get off that soapbox. NMLS ID, we went through that, right? Here's all the states I'm licensed in. All the states. Delaware, Florida, Maryland, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. I am authorized to conduct business in all these states. I had somebody the other day that I was looking up, and they were running up at the mouth about one of my states. I forget which one, and I look over here and, oh, look, this says no. Stop talking about the state if you're not licensed in it. And they were talking about state-specific things. They've never been licensed in that state. You haven't been, if you're not authorized to be in that state, don't talk about that state. You can talk about loans in general, but even that gets dicey because there's certain things like Texas, all y'all get called out for things on a consistent basis. Same thing with New York. I'm not licensed in either. California, Texas, Utah, and New York always get called out. Okay, regulatory actions. If I was an obnoxiously bad human being and did something I wasn't supposed to do, if you look down here, this is where you would find out. And you can read the court documents, you can read the findings, you can read exactly what the hell it is that I did that I shouldn't have done, that I've been sanctioned for. Credit score limits or minimum, and for what loan type? USDA has no minimum FICO score. By the guidelines, USDA has no minimum FICO score. Majority of lenders are going to want you to be up over a 580. There are a couple that will go down to a 550. USDA Direct will do the no minimum FICO score. USDA and VA, by the guidelines, do not have minimum FICO scores. Okay, so now you can see that I'm licensed in all of my states. I am authorized to conduct business in all of my states. Now, if you look, I had Virginia 2 different ways. I don't know why it got switched over, but for some reason that switched over. Still authorized to work in Virginia, we're good. I am not authorized in DC. Being authorized in Maryland is not the same as being authorized in DC. That's a separate license. You can see who my primary company is, and this is the branch that I'm tied to, because some states have a distance requirement. So Pennsylvania used to have a 100-mile distance. Can you link DPA and USDA? Depends upon the DPA program. Some DPA programs will allow you, some will not. And then once you get into the DPA, now you have to figure out, number one, how that's going to adjust your cash to close requirements. Number two, how many additional fees that they're going to add to it. Number three, is it going to further tighten your debt to income ratio allowances? And number five, if the lender you're utilizing for USDA, because not all lenders understand USDA, if they're going to accept and if they're authorized to do the down payment assistance programs. Some of the down payment assistance programs, you have to be part of a retail lending in order to do it, which also means that it's going to cost you more in order to do it. Some DPAs don't. It's kind of a give and take. Now, with USDA, you can get 6% seller concessions, which means that the seller can offer you up to 6%. It doesn't cost them anything out of pocket, but it helps cover your closing costs. USDA, if the house appraises for more than the contract price, you can roll in closing costs on the USDA too. USDA is the only one that allows that. But again, the house has to appraise for more than the contract price. Now, the other thing you can check out on your loan officer is my employment history. So you can see from 2002 all the way to now what I've done for a living. Yes, I used to sell mattresses. Anybody need to know anything about mattresses? I can help with that. And it's funny to say that I do still have to help people with mattresses sometimes. I'm okay with that. Sold clothing for half a minute until I got terminated for being pregnant. Whole nother story. I did sell cars for a while. I am obnoxious about cars. And I've had clients that I've had to help take to go buy a car because they told their car in the process of going to a showing. And we were able to get it done. And this was last year without severely raising his monthly payment, without having him shotgun blasted to every lender that the dealership has, and able to get him in and done. What's important about this is, number one, you can see that I started as a loan officer in 2017. You can also see that I've only ever worked for 2 places since becoming a loan officer. You have to think of your loan officer just like you do your realtor, just like you do your title or attorney, as somebody that you are hiring. This is my resume. This is every loan officer's resume. And we can't do anything to change it. So if I go to another place, it's going to show up on here that I went to someplace else. If I'm somebody who was only licensed since 2019, and I've been at 5 different places as a loan officer, you should question whether or not I'm good at my job. Because again, it takes you 18 months before you start learning what the hell you're doing at any new job. But if you're bouncing around from place to place to place, that's not a them problem. That's a you problem. So it's important that you know what our history is. Now, if you see in here, there's no state license. It just says federal. I need you to understand the difference. Those of us who are state licensed, we had to study for and take a test. We have to do continuing education every single year to keep our licenses. We have to go through background checks. We have to go through credit checks. We have to go through financial checks. We also have to keep up to date on what's going on by each state. When your realtor says local loan officer, the misconception is they mean the person down the street. They don't. They mean somebody state licensed. Local loan officer is somebody who is state licensed and legitimately knows the state. Now, I'm only in 6 states because number one, I think I should be in my same time zone. Number two, the only one I can't drive to easily or fairly easily is Florida, but I'm born and raised. So that's not an issue. Somebody who is federally registered as a loan officer, they pass the background check. That is it. They don't have to know anything for any of the states. Now, some of the ones who are federally registered currently used to be state licensed. And that's where the whole view all comes into play to see if they were ever state licensed. That's also where they'll look at the history comes in to see if they were ever working for an independent mortgage broker or somebody who's not a depository bank. Somebody who's federally registered, not only do they not have to pass a test, not only do they not have to have a clue what it is that they're doing, they only take the application and gather your initial documentation. They don't read the guidelines. And for anybody who's wondering, so this is just for FHA. And there's a very good reason as to why this is taking this long. This is 1,524 pages. 1,524 pages. That is constantly changing and moving. I get emails every time this thing's updated, every time they change something. I get emails from Fannie and Freddie. I get emails from the VA because while the VA has less, there's still stuff that you need to know and you need to understand the purpose behind what it is. As a loan officer, you should have read these things at some point in time. And that's just the FHA one. USDA guidelines. This is 625 pages just for the table of contents. 625 just for the table of contents. Oh, it actually also goes into I have a search thingy that makes my life easier. But you have the single family direct housing loans and grants field office handbook. Loan origination handbook. That's the one that I go to. And we've got 12 chapters. And then letters. It's fun. VA loans are even better because the majority of people who are facilitating VA loans have never read the VA guidelines. And then you got realtors who think that they know something about VA loans and they don't. Always make sure that you have a state licensed loan officer or at least somebody who was a state licensed loan officer at one point in time. There are a few federally registered loan officers I've met, especially on here in TikTok, who are used to be state licensed and they're phenomenal. There's just a huge difference in what you have to know as a state license versus a federally licensed loan officer. And it's important that you understand the difference between each different type. So the difference between a direct lender, a depository bank, a credit union, or an independent mortgage broker like myself. Oh, here. Let's go with the easy one. Urban.org mortgage. This is my favorite thing to bring up because it's important. See this? No, you can't see that. I did a video on how you're doing this wrong. This right here. LMI, low and middle income owner occupied purchase loans only. Bank loans, non-bank loans. Non-bank loans are me, independent mortgage brokers. Middle income neighborhoods, upper income neighborhoods, all neighborhoods. Those of you who are running out to Rocket Mortgage, Wells Fargo, your local credit union down the street, understand they don't have the access and they have way more overlays. And this is where it hurts people. This is completely where it hurts people. Your best bet for getting approved, qualified, and proper information is to contact an independent mortgage brokerage loan officer. We have access to more ways to say yes. We don't have the restrictions that others have. And this has been going on for so long, it's ridiculous. And it still keeps happening. People think that your depository banks are going to have more power than somebody who's not. They think they're going to be less expensive. Your depository banks and credit unions are allowed by law to charge you 5% of the loan amount for doing your loan. They are allowed to charge that. On top of making the requirements more strict and approving less people. Anybody who is a person of color, when you're filling out your loan application, please fill out your race, fill out your gender. This is how we catch the bad people. This is how the federal government goes through and finds Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Navy Federal, all of whom who have been slapped with discrimination. All of whom. This is how we catch them. When you don't fill it out, you can't catch the bad actors. And even with majority of people of color who don't fill it out, this is still our numbers. This is still our numbers. And this is all easy. Share of loans to neighborhoods of color, banks, 7.2%. Non-banks, 11.7%. Conventional, 5.2, non-bank, 7.3. Share of loans to lower to middle income neighborhoods. Well, your banks are doing 4.2, your non-banks are doing 6.3. Where do you have a better chance of getting approved for a loan? Conventional loans, 2.9 versus 3.9. Share of loans to borrowers of color, just the borrowers themselves. You've got almost a 10% spread. 10% is a lot of people when you look at how many mortgages are overall. And this is only from 2018 to 2019. This is before the crazy that happened recently. What do you think these numbers look like now? If you are going to a depository bank, and I don't care if you're using me or another loan officer, look for somebody with options. Look for somebody who works for a brokerage. Look for somebody that's been a loan officer for a while. I am not everybody's cup of tea. I'm okay with that. I just had a loan officer, a coworker from out in California who met somebody online and they were looking for a loan in the state of Pennsylvania. And she's just like, she's a little, she needs a very soft hand. She's been through a lot. I'm like, yeah, I'm not your person. I am blunt and to the point. I will walk through every step of it with you. I will go through as many different options as possible. I will try to explain everything to you, but I'm blunt and to the point. So if somebody who's been through a lot and needs somebody super soft, I'm not that person. I know it. I have a coworker in New Jersey who is. So that's where I send it. One factor driving these gaps is that bank lenders have become much more risk adverse since the mortgage crisis and Great Recession. But banks' share of the mortgage market has steadily decreased since 2013. So that's a good thing. Currently account for about 25% of the total mortgage lending. This right here is a huge problem. These numbers should not be that far apart. These numbers should not be that far apart. My favorite chart, is there more? This is not acceptable. And the more you go to Wells Fargo, TD Bank, your local credit union, these depository lenders, these direct lenders, and they're allowed to get away with this, the more you're telling them that it's okay. You want to make real change in anything in the world? Do it with your money, do it with your time, do it with your effort. Any questions from anybody anywhere? Either on YouTube or on TikTok, feel free to reach out to me at any point in time. All of my contact information is in the bio. Everybody is always welcome to text me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with any questions. If you are not in one of my states and you have a question, I will do the best that I can to answer. There's certain things I'm not allowed to answer based on my license. But there's some ballpark things that I can answer and help guide you through. If you need a loan officer in your state and it's not one of my 6 states, feel free to reach out. I would be more than happy to connect you with somebody who is in your state and will help you, who has access to all the same things that I do. It's important that you know that there's options, and it's important that you know how many options are out there available for you. If you want it, there is a way to get it. Is it easy? No. Is there a large amount of inventory out there? No. Should you wait for interest rates to drop? No. You're going to have more negotiating power, and you're going to have more sellers negotiating with seller concessions so you can bring less cash to close with a higher interest rate market than you are in a lower. And you want to see how everything gets affected? Let's do that real quick. Favorite calculator on the planet. So we're going to clear all this out, and you can pull this calculator yourself, and you can play with these numbers all you want to as well. You just take everything out. Oh, I overtook out because you don't really need to take the years out, but whatever. This is bizcalcs.com. This is compare mortgage payments. So let's say the sale price is you're looking at a $350,000 house. Now, please note, this does not include your taxes and your homeowner's insurance. That is very specific to each area. I don't bother putting in down payment. Interest rate, let's say 7.125. We're not going to do additional principal. We're going to say 30 years because that's pretty much all of them. And there's your monthly payment before taxes and homeowner's insurance. Let's say 350. We're going to take that to 375 because now that the interest rates are lower, you're going to have more bidding. And let's say you get down to a 6.75. And let's say interest rates go even further than that, and we're now at 400,000 for the same house. Let's say the interest rates dropped all the way down. This $400,000 house at 6% is, say it with me now, $40 more per month for that 6% interest rate because you've had so many people in the market bidding over the same house. $40 a month more than the 7.125. Let me say that again. The 6% interest rate is 40% more, or $40 per month more. Your difference between $25,000 and let's call it a little over 1/8 of a point Say it with me. 58 plus 24.34. Ay, Dios. 23.58 minus 24.32. $74 a month difference. $74 a month difference between these two. And you're paying $74 a month more for the 6.75. Oh, and by the way, at this point, because you were in a bidding war, you weren't able to get any seller concession. Now, watch the fun. So we have a $350,000 house that you bought at the 7.125. And interest rates drop. And let's say we go to a 6.5 because it's in between these two. And we refinance you, we streamline you, we do an EARL. We drop your rate down to the 6.5. Guess what? You're saving money above all the rest of these people who wanted to wait for rates to drop. You're saving more money at 6.5 than this person who waited for the 6% interest rate. The interest rate is not your problem. If it was, people wouldn't be out buying cars at 14.49% interest. Again, none of this has to do with taxes and homeowners insurance, but a 7.125 is less per month by over $70 than a 6.75 when you get into a bidding war. Think about that. Think about how that all comes together. Oh, and here's the fun part, right? So let me take 2358.02, and we're going to subtract out your new payment of 2212.24. You're saving $145 a month. So when you refinance from that 350 at 7.125 down to that 6.5, you're going to save $145 per month. Let's divide that by 2. We're going to call it $72 a month. So we're going to take half of that savings and we're going to put that back into the mortgage. Look, you're paid off in 27 years, 4 months. You reduce your monthly payment by $72. So you reduce your monthly payment by more than if you waited for that 6.75. And you dropped years off your time frame. This is running the numbers. This is the mathing. Does that make sense? Okay, guys. So at this point, it is now 1:31. I'm going to let you go. I am here every Wednesday at noon Eastern time. Again, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have to the best of my ability within the guidelines of my license. I am happy to connect you with a loan officer in your area who has access to all the same things that I do. And happy hunting out there. That's part 1 shut down.